Guys, welcome to the Bird Brain Podcast, where the goal is to rise above it all, stay elevated, create that infinity, up your you. I'm your host, Isaiah, and it is June. So we are halfway through the year, and how has your year been? I know last month was Mental Health Awareness Month, and you guys did not see me. You probably see me creating articles and still posting content elsewhere, but I was pretty quiet on the podcast, and I think there was a reason for that. One of the things I've understood about, taking care of yourself and taking care of your mental health is being mindful of what you are devoting yourself to, what you are spinning your wheels on. And one of the biggest articles I wrote recently was this concept of the difference between I'm here if you need me versus I'm here, what do you need? We talk about virtue signaling and performative care a lot of times, and how it serves as an emotional placeholder for us to never really step into relationship with one another. And the umbrella, I'm here if you need me versus, hey, I'm here, what do you need? Is a lot of times it puts the onus on other people to do the heavy lifting of us stepping into a relationship. And, that phrasing can show up in different ways, right? The let's do lunch, or yeah, we should hang out sometime, or I miss you, or let's get together. And then there's no follow through. So a lot of times I think people are so eager to be seen as nice or as good. We say things we probably don't fully mean past that moment. Like, yeah, in that moment, your feelings are running high. You just saw this person, like, oh yeah, damn, that would be so cool to see you. Or you feel like you have to say yes to something that you probably really don't want to show up for. And then as time passes, it shows. Why? Because you have made a present commitment that your future self doesn't want to be a part of. And I think that's also important too, because a lot of times we have opted out of the importance and the necessities of what it takes to be in a relationship. And when you genuinely have connections with people, it's not based on convenience. And I think a lot of people really are desiring convenience from the relationships, and convenience looking like I shouldn't have to do much to get everything. And when I don't show up, I should always be able to have a justifiable reason, no matter how ambiguous it is. I'm busy. I'm protecting my peace. No is a complete sentence. And a lot of times we fell victim to our own choices because we stopped having relationships with other people because people recognize, oh, you don't show up, or you never make plans, or if I'm not reaching out to you, you're not present. Okay. And then the same thing applies with the I'm here if you need me. See, it sounds very helpful, but sometimes it is keeping distance between you and somebody else, right? I'm here if you need me. Where are you? Where do you place yourself when people are having moments or just going through seasons of life that are hard or great? I think sometimes people use that phrasing of like, we may not talk all the time, but if you needed me at 2 a.m, I'd reach out, or I'd come there in a second. And what I've understood is that sounds very heroic. People want to be seen as a hero. But let's be honest, if somebody was constantly calling you at 2 a.m, to be helped out of a situation, that would get tired very fast. And if you were never answering your phone during the day, what makes somebody think that you're going to pick up your phone at 2 a.m? Everybody has their phone on Do Not Disturb. People are screening their calls. People wait a week or a few days to respond to messages, and they feel like that's justifiable because people have too much access to each other nowadays, or people feel entitled to a response. So it's like, why would somebody trust you with their hardest moments if in the regular moments you're not present? See, what we need to understand is that what builds real, genuine relationships are not these blips, right? Are not these grandiose gestures. It's the nothings. How do you show up when nothing's going on, right? How are you present when I'm doing well? How are you present when you're doing well? When are you present when you're not doing well, right? Do we treat people with the same care that we will want to be treated with? And treating people how you want to be treated, even that has nuance, because Sometimes we treat people the way we want to be treated, and sometimes we've been treated poorly and we just grew accustomed, right? Oh, I don't have any needs, so other people shouldn't have a need of me, and that's not how it works. Just because you've been deprived of, the fundamentals and the bare minimums doesn't mean that's healthy. It just became your standard, but it doesn't mean that that's what life should be. And sometimes we expect people to do more labor to keep us around than us willing to show up because we can't be bothered. It's a very different energy saying to some person, hey, I'm here. What do you need? Hey, I'm going to pick this up for you. Hey, I'm going to come by and help you fold laundry, right? Hey, I'm going to call you every day at this time to make sure you don't even have to answer. I'm just going to do it. Right? There's so many ways we could participate in each other's lives, but I think a lot of times we want to be seen as a participant without really having to do much, right? Niceness versus kindness, right? Niceness is based on the necessity of being perceived a certain way. Kindness is based on character, and regardless of the circumstances, that's still who you are. And during Mental Health Month, it was a lot of things coming up in terms of what do relationship dynamics actually look like when no one's watching. How honest are we about our participation in relationships with other people? When do we show up? Why do we show up? And do we actually support the people that we say we care about? Or do we only want to be supported in our relationships until further notice? And see, a lot of people aren't honest about their truth in that regard, but our patterns will show the honesty that we present in our relationships. So, this has been a very interesting last couple months, to say the least. But it's been a lot to think about and a lot to process. And I think that has been the big one, And I think a lot of times people also, we take for granted the people who do show up in our lives because we become so accustomed to their consistency that we never step in and ask, hey, you do a lot. What do you need support on? And support is not always monetary. I think that's also a thing people try to say of like, well, I can't be on my phone 24 hours. Truth be told, we need to stop pretending that we are so important in the relationships that are supposed to be important to us. Because there's only so many times you tell a person that you're busy, and it's the subtext is that my life and the things that I have going on are more important than how I see your time and what you're devoting to me and what you're willing to prioritize and carve out when it comes to this relationship. See, sometimes we can be so blind to other people showing up in our lives that we miss what we're actually communicating to the people who are willing to be present, who are compromising, who are being inconvenienced, who are making sacrifices. We all have the same 24 hours, and at the end of the day, priorities are organized choices. There are a lot of things in our adult lives that we have chose to cultivate, whether it's children, whether it's a family, whether it's the job that we took on. Those are all choices. And it is not other people's responsibility to be punished because of those choices, right? You tell other people how stressed out you are about A, B, and C, and they should just get it. Well, you're not establishing boundaries in those other spaces that are actually taxing you. But the people who are not are suffering, and that's not fair. A lot of times we try to get out of being participants in our relationships properly, and we kind of keep people in the gray until we need them. And that's not kind. We perform niceness until it doesn't serve us. Truth be told, adults want to be respected as adults until people actually see their character. And now we default to, well, I don't have the capacity, or, I'm still learning how to show up, insert. But it's important that we ask ourselves, what kind of people do we expect to show up in our lives? We talk about people giving us grace, but do we actually understand how graceful some people are despite their own hardships, right? And the only time we see somebody as problematic is because they're not doing for us or giving to us in the ways that we feel entitled to. So the I'm here if you need me versus I'm here, what do you need? is such a commentary, a social commentary in terms of how we navigate relationships. Who is willing to step in versus wait and hope that this person doesn't actually reach out? Because sometimes it's the people who do need support that don't reach out. And yes, it is other people's responsibility to communicate their needs. But there's also a fine line between people taking initiative and recognizing who these people are they're in a relationship with versus just always expecting somebody to do the emotional labor to teach them. Because if a person has to be in a relationship with you and take care of you and also take care of themselves, and you only take care of yourself, then there's no benefit to keeping the relationship. They don't gain anything and they don't lose anything. So keep that in mind. You know, what's the difference between, hey, I'm here if you need me, I'm over here if you need me, versus, hey, I'm here. What do you need? How can I support you? What allows you to feel supported? Okay. Be willing to ask your people questions and be willing to ask yourself some honest questions. Am I genuinely doing my best or am I doing what I want? Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Take flight.